I'm David Crum, divorce attorney and author of the book Confessions of a Divorce Assassin. We have had so many female clients come into our offices lately and tell us that their husbands have been gaslighting them that I thought it was an important time to make this video. People have a lot of different definitions for the term gaslighting. Personally, I like the Merriam-Webster dictionary's description. According to Merriam-Webster, gaslighting is manipulating someone by psychological means into questioning their own sanity. So if you do believe you're experiencing gaslighting from your husband, I am so sorry you're going through this because I know how difficult it can be, but you're definitely in the right place. Now that we have a definition for gaslighting, let's talk about what it actually looks like in a relationship. In the course of my practice, I see gaslighting occurring in 6 basic ways. The first one I call trivializing. Your husband minimizes your feelings, suggests your emotions don't matter, or accuses you of overreacting. Does that sound familiar? The second one I call countering. Your husband may question your memory, make up new details, or deny that something happened. He might even blame you for the situation instead. Another way I see gaslighting manifesting in relationships is withholding. Your husband brushes off your attempts to have a discussion or accuses you of trying to confuse him. The fourth strategy is diversion. When you bring up a concern about his behavior, he changes the subject or turns it back on you by suggesting you're making it up. Number 5 is forgetting or denying. When you mention a specific event or something he said, he might say he can't remember or tell you it never happened at all. And the last one I call discrediting. Your husband suggests to other people that you can't remember things correctly. You get confused easily or you make things up. And this can even threaten your career when it happens at work. And many of our clients tell us that it took them years to realize what was going on in their relationships. So I want to talk a little bit about how you know that gaslighting is actually happening to you. What clients tell me is that the first thing they experience is what their husband is telling them. After a while, it just doesn't make sense. There seems to be something wrong, but they can't quite put their finger on it. As this behavior continues, they start to feel disheartened, defeated, depressed. And the thing I hear most often is that they begin to experience a lack of confidence. If you're experiencing any of this, you may very well be in this very situation. In my own law practice, I see gaslighting in 2 phases. First, there's a phase that happens before divorce. In these situations, my clients report that their husbands are most often gaslighting about having an affair, making bad financial decisions, and the use of drugs and alcohol. And in those areas, I most often see husbands using the technique of diversion, during which they change the subject or suggest that you're simply making it up. Often, they'll tell you you're crazy. You're not crazy. If you bring up the topic of divorce, you'll see all of the gaslighting techniques on full display. Most common themes from husbands in these situations are that they'll leave you with nothing, take the kids, quit their jobs, or simply refuse to follow any orders of the court and just generally make your life a living hell. All of that is nonsense, of course, but it still keeps many women from leaving toxic relationships. If these things are happening to you and you're still married, my best advice is that you get some distance from the relationship and that you begin to test objectively what your husband is telling you. Now, what I may mean by this is that you need to remove yourself as much as you can from the situations that allow your husband to dominate you psychologically. Some women have simply moved out. Some of my clients have created more personal time in their lives and have spent more time with their friends. Gaslighting husbands hate it when their wives spend private time with friends and family for this very reason. Now, once you've created some space in the relationship, it's important to test what your husband is saying objectively. There are 3 main ways to do this. Most gaslighting, with just a little bit of logical reasoning, simply falls apart. If you have an initial feeling that something is wrong or something doesn't make sense, follow that thread and examine what's being said and what evidence supports either side. When your husband is gaslighting you, it is often not difficult to realize that what is being said isn't true. But what confuses most women is the sincerity and the intensity with which their husbands make certain claims. And remember that the hallmark effect of gaslighting is to make you doubt your own thoughts and feelings. Hopefully you have a support system of friends and family. If you do, you should be as open and transparent with them about what is being said as possible. If you can keep an open mind with regard to their feedback, your support system will often have the most objective perspective about what is happening in a relationship. And finally, if you're truly considering divorce, you should schedule a consultation with a competent divorce attorney so that he or she can dispel all of the myths that your husband is likely telling you about what will happen if you file for divorce. Many women who want out of their relationships, they just simply need a little support to help them move forward. Now, the good news, if there's good news, is that if you have a competent attorney who understands how gaslighting works, it'll be much easier for you to deal with your husband once your divorce is filed. After a divorce is filed against a gaslighting husband, I most often ask my clients to have as little contact with their spouse as possible. If they have to communicate, I want to see that happening through text or email or through an online platform like Our Family Wizard, so I can monitor the communication if I have to. Now, from a legal perspective, I'm most often dealing with diversion, forgetting or denying, and discrediting. Diversion, forgetting, or denying, and discrediting manifests most often in court pleadings, during testimony at trial, or in evidentiary hearings, and can also appear prominently during settlement negotiations. So it's important that you assist your attorney and that your attorney immediately correct any false statements that are made in your divorce pleadings. As an attorney, I personally never let a false statement pass in pleadings unless it's extremely trivial without addressing it in my own responses to the court. Now, when it comes to testimony at trial or in evidentiary hearings, it's important that you've gathered and provided objective evidence to your attorney. This can include text messages, emails, audio and video recordings, and any other documents or witness testimony that will contradict what your husband is going to testify to and say in court. As part of your preparation for hearings, and hearings are often required when you're dealing with a husband prone to gaslighting, your attorney should work with you to anticipate the kind of lies and exaggerations you will hear in court, and then line up the objective evidence that will show your husband to be a liar. Many, many times I have used text messages and other documents to impeach the credibility of gaslighting husbands. After you do that once or twice in court, the judge begins to question your husband's credibility in everything he says. Another critical issue to understand when you're divorcing a gaslighting husband is that you have to conserve your resources. Husbands like this, especially if they have an attorney who believes everything they say, can create a lot of drama, distractions, and false issues. It is incredibly important that your attorney understands this and helps you pick your battles. If you're not careful with this, you can end up incurring huge costs and attorney's fees in your case. And finally, you should pick at least one person who can support you through this process and help you stick to your guns. So many times I've watched my clients not follow my advice because they're just so used to simply doing and believing everything their husbands tell them. So a good friend or family member with a strong personality can be a lifesaver in these situations. Okay, listen, this video is long enough, and I'm going to wrap it up here. If you're facing something like this, again, I am so sorry, and I completely understand what you're going through, and I know how difficult this can be. Here's what I can offer to you at this point. We have an incredible team of lawyers here, and all of the attorneys in our firm are extremely skilled and know how to deal with gaslighting. You can simply pick up the phone and call our office, and one of our highly experienced divorce paralegals will walk you through your case, what your options are, and whether we can actually help you with your case. If we can, we'll set a consultation with you, and we would love to meet you and hear about your case. Thanks for your time. Hang in there, and I hope to see you soon.